Good day everyone, and welcome to your computer programming class. Now prior to year 9, you would have completed 2 units of Scratch programming, which is block-based programming, in year 7. In year 8, you would have started to work on text-based programming, which is Python. Today we're going to recap what we should have learned up to this point and then seek to improve our understanding. So the first task that you will have for me on paper is to look at the term that is on your left hand side and match it with the term that is on your right. Yes, you're going to match the term on your left with the description on your right. I'm going to give you a few seconds to get that done. You may pause this video and then come back for the answers. Okay, now I believe you are finished. So we're going to go through them. So input, okay? Input means you are trying to read the data from the keyboard. Print means you are displaying, you're showing something on the screen. And while means to perform actions repeatedly. So while is a type of loop or a type of iteration. Okay? And if, check a condition to select which actions to perform. And the equal sign is used to assign a value to a variable, and what that means is simple to store a value in a variable. Now the next task you're going to move on to is our walkthrough activity. Again, I'm going to give you a minute to go through this and come up with your answer. But before you do, let me see if I can help you to have a bit of understanding. Note the instruction. When the program is executed, the user types in 12 and 2. When you look at this line of programming, it means that the first thing that the user enters is going to be 12, and that is going to be stored, that integer is going to be stored in a variable called A. 2 is going to be stored in a variable called B. That means we need to work out line 3 and then print whatever the answer is. So essentially we need to find out what is average. So again, pause the video and try, and then come back and play again to see what the answer is. Okay, so the answer is 8. You might be asking, how did we end up with 8? So let's look at the table. So 12 is in A and 2 is stored in B. Alright, using this trace table is going to help us to understand what is happening in the program. So because of a rule in math, BODMAS, which indicates how we are supposed to work out different equations. B stands for brackets, so you would work out anything in bracket first. Then we have O, which is for indices, we have D, which is for division, and M for multiply, A for addition, and S for subtraction. So it is in that order. So based on BODMAS, the first thing that this is actually going to do is to divide 12 by 2, which is going to be 6. Okay, 6 plus 2 is going to be 8. Now there's a challenge on the task for you to do. Alright, obviously 8 is not the average. 7 should be the answer. What do you think we will need to do to this formula so that we can get the correct answer? Again, give it a go and then we'll be back. Alright. So what we'll need to do is to put brackets around. Remember, BODMAS starts with brackets. So what we're saying is to work out whatever is in the bracket first. And that would be 2 plus 12, which would be 14 divided by 2. And that would give us 7. Alright. Now we're going to go to the next challenge, which I want you to go ahead and answer for me. Alright. Tell me based on this particular scenario, what is a logical error? Yes, this here was a logical error. What do you think is a logical error? Alright, so let's look at types of error and then we'll determine if your answer was correct. There are three main types of error: syntax error, logical error, runtime error. A syntax error occurs when code written does not follow the rules of a programming language. A program will not run if it has syntax errors. Any such errors must be fixed first. In the case of the example, the program actually ran, just did not give us the correct answer, which means it was not a syntax error. Let us look at some examples of syntax errors. So misspelling of a statement or a command, such as print, writing pint instead of print, okay, or using a variable before it has been declared, which is not necessary for Python. Missing brackets, example, the opening bracket but not closing it. All right. Now let's look at the next type of error: logic error. A logic error is an error in the way a program works. The program simply does not do what it is expected to do. So yes, the program works in terms of being executed and giving an answer in the case of the example which we did, but it does not give the answer that we would anticipate. Now there are different causes of logic error, right? And here are some. One, incorrectly using logical operators. Example, expecting a program to stop when the value of a variable reaches 5, but using less than 5. Okay, so if you're saying that it should run until it reaches 5, but you use a condition that says less than 5, that means it will never stop because the condition will never becomes 5. So what you should have used instead is less than or equal to 5. Okay, incorrectly using a Boolean operator, unintentionally creating a situation where an infinite loop may occur, or incorrectly using brackets in calculations. And this was the one that was predominant in our example. All right. So the difference between syntax and logic error is that syntax error will not run. Logical error will run, but just not give you the answer that you expect. Alright, the third type of error is a runtime error. This is an error that takes place during the running of a program. An example is writing a program that tries to access the 6th item in an array that only contains 5 items. So in Python we talk about structures like lists. Okay, so instead of array we'd call it a list. And let's say we have 5 items in a list and you're saying you want the 6th item. That's going to give you an error because there's only 5 items in the list. We will look at this as we continue to program. So to answer the previous question, remember we spoke about BODMAS, brackets, order or power or indices, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So this is the order in which a statement will be evaluated. Alright, so I want you to go to this challenge and determine what will be printed. Alright, so you're gonna have a go at it and then come back to this video and we will explain. Alright, good. Alright, so remember 12 is stored in A, 2 is stored in B. We see that here, but then we're saying A, which is 12, is now being stored in max. So max here becomes 12. Then here we're saying if B is greater than max, so we're now going to ask the question, is B greater than max? And we're going to put true or false. In this case, B is 2 and max is 12, so that means it is false. So we're going to put false here. Okay, now this bit of code will only execute if B is greater than A. since B is not greater than A, it is not going to print anything. Okay, so the answer is actually nothing. Alright, good. Now, what is a variable? Alright, please fill this in on the section on your lesson where it is required. A variable is a name memory location in random access memory that holds a value. So it is, think of a variable as a container. Okay, now every container will have different name. For example, a cup holds water that someone wants to drink, but then we could have a larger container that is a bin that is used to contain garbage. So every variable should have its own identifier or its own name. Here are some rules to consider. Variables can contain letters and numbers, but must start with a letter. It must contain at least one letter. It must not have any special character, any of these, okay? And the name should be meaningful. Now, I want you to rename the variables in the program. Rename A and B. Alright? Remember, the name must be meaningful and it should represent the value that is actually holding. A is sort of vague and B sort of vague, which makes the program a little bit more difficult for comprehension. So rename them. Alright, you should be finished renaming. So I'm going to suggest what I would have called A. Since A is stored in the first number the user enter, I'm going to call that first number, and B is stored in the second number that is entered. I am going to call that second number. Please note that there is no space in variable. There should be no space, so we can either join them as one word, capitalizing the second letter in the variable name to show the distinction, or you could use an underscore. Alright, so we're going to be looking at these quick technical terms: assignment, arithmetic expression, Boolean expression. So an assignment is a single equal sign, and this is used to store a value in a variable. For example, the value of A plus B is being stored in the variable sum. So wherever we see a single equal sign, it means a value on your right is being stored, or data on your right is being stored in the variable on your left. Okay, then we have arithmetic expression. What we're looking for is plus, times, minus, division. Once we see that, we can agree that that looks pretty much like an arithmetic expression. Here's an example on the screen. And we have Boolean expression. Now, Boolean expression is a logical statement that will either evaluate to true or false. So you're looking for these operators, comparison operators. Yes, if something is less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or you're looking for these logical operators, which is and or not. Here's an example. If age is greater than 18, right, this will equate to either true or false. Great. So now, can I ask you to go ahead and complete the section, the final section in the starting activity? Alright, let's get back. So your variables are A, B, ABG, and max. Your assignment statement, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 5, line 7, all of them having single equal sign. Arithmetic expression is line 3, B plus A divided by 2. Boolean expression is line 6, B is greater than max. And then a block of statement that may not be executed is line 7 and 8. Yes, because this will only execute if B is greater than max. We're going to stop here in part 1 for the starting activity, and then we are going to go to the second video, which is going to deal with activity 1. Thank you.